Don't you know your queen? Hello everyone, Ryan here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the new Perfume Genius album titled No Shape. Perfume Genius is a singer-songwriter, and he has put out some incredible albums over the past few years. He is so consistent, and he somehow keeps getting better with each album. I mean, his first album, Learning, was a pretty good album. I admired it. It was quite badly recorded in a kind of endearing way. But it's still quite a good album in comparison to most albums you'd hear, I think. And then he topped that with Put You Back Into It in 2012, another incredible album, had the amazing single Hood. Then he topped that somehow with Too Bright, which we saw him here delving into more experimental sounds, and I absolutely love that album again. Another amazing single, Queen, came from that album, one of the best of that year. And here he has a new album titled No Shape, and he may have topped his last album as well with this. I just don't know how he keeps doing it. Mike Hadrius has this genius way of making beautiful piano-driven songs, and on this new album he's delved into newer sounds once again. He's tried out different things, and I think this time I'm getting more vibes from other artists as well. I'm certainly reminded of the band Shoo Shoo on this album, particularly with the sound of the music. I think I'm grabbed more by the music this time around, and Mike Hadrius even said that this album was built around the music, so he made the music first and then played the songs over it. So it's kind of interesting to note that, because you can clearly tell that the music this time had so much effort put into it and so many new ideas came about. But as always, of course, his voice sounds as fantastic on ever, particularly on the opening track Otherside. And when the instrumentation comes crashing in, I love that part. I think it sounds absolutely brilliant. And the track Die For You, which is this straightforward track focusing on love. It doesn't do really anything new tackling the topic of love, but it's his vocal performance again here that I absolutely love. His voice is hushed. It sounds quite new for him. I think he's doing newer things with his vocals as well, not just the music, and I think it's working so well. And I could really talk about his vocals all day, because I just absolutely love Mike Hadrius' vocals, but I'm not going to say too much else because they're just on point on the rest of this album. There's not a point where I think, I don't like that vocal performance. It's just constantly just wows me. But really the interesting feature on this album, I think, is this no shape arc that crops up across this album quite a few times, and I think he's referencing himself here about how in many ways that he is different. He doesn't kind of fit in. There isn't much of a shape to him, meaning that there is a shape that typically molds people in general, but Mike Hadrius sort of feels like he doesn't fit into that expectation at all. Like on the track Just Like Love, where Mike is talking about how people look at him differently, they sort of see him as kind of a weirdo. But Mike is just ready to embrace the difference. He's ready to embrace how unique he is. And on this track, I like the vocals on the verses because it reminds me of Anthony Hegarty from Anthony and the Johnsons, or now known as Anony, which again brings me to before, as I was saying about his different vocal styles on this album. Also on the track Go Ahead. And here again he's talking about how he acts different and looks different, but people will question him and the way he is, and even though he doesn't want their opinion, and he doesn't ask for their opinion, but they sort of bring it in anyway, and they'll say how they'll make a prayer for him. But he's saying that he's already walking in the light, he's already living the high life, so he doesn't really care what people think. I appreciate this sentiment a lot, but it's not like Mike isn't going through big issues mentally anyway, because he talks on the track Wreath how he doesn't like his body at all and how it's betraying him, and he doesn't ever really feel like he's been a part of a specific gender. He could easily be a man or a woman, and he just has no trust in his body anymore. And again, I feel like this is the No Shape reference on the album title, because he feels like his body literally has no shape. He's just lost everything that he once trusted. So with all these mental conflicts going on through his mind, whilst also dealing with the way people view him and the way people view his persona and his whole aura, it's kind of easy to see that Mike Hadrius is going through quite a lot of problems, and has always gone through a lot of problems throughout his life. And we experience more of that on the track Slip Away, which is one of the best singles I've heard all year. I absolutely love this track. Away, yay, yay. It's amazing. And here he's referencing the forbidden love that he's currently going through with his partner, and how people look at him and them together as being some kind of strange relationship, sort of referencing how homosexuality isn't quite accepted in today's age just yet, but he looks at those people and thinks, who cares what they think, they'll never break the shape we take. And I like this attitude that Mike Adrias has on this song. And I also love the lyrics to the track Sides, where he's taken the approach of looking at how he tends to shut people out, most importantly the people that he loves in his life, and how he sort of doesn't really want to do that, but it's just the way he is. And then Weyes Blood comes in with an absolutely stunning vocal performance, and this track is just one of the best here. There are a couple other interesting lyrical themes on this album, like Every Night, how he's talking about he often feels energy surrounding him, like the supernatural, ghosts, and all that sort of stuff, spirits. It's quite a strange perspective to come from a song, but it's interesting nevertheless. And also the track Run Me Through, where he's talking about his complicated relationship with masculinity and how masculinity can often be bad, which you've probably heard a lot when you go on the internet, but still it's kind of an interesting idea, how he feels that masculinity takes over him when he sees it and he ends up loving it, but he doesn't really want to love it. It's an interesting track. And finally, the closing track is a perfect way to end off this album, the ode to his boyfriend, his long-term boyfriend, Alan. And this track is a beautiful song. It's very much reminiscent of the closing track to his last album, Too Bright, the title track to that album. And the music here is very similar, I think. It's lavish. It's really lush as well, and then as well with his vocals, which echo in this graceful way. It's a perfect end to the album, and yeah, once again, this album is absolutely amazing. I'm going to have to give this album an A. It's that good. I think this is one of the best of the year. Perfume Genius right now is one of the greatest singer-songwriters of this generation, I think, and the music here just speaks for itself. It's just everything that you want to hear on this kind of album. It's beautiful, and yeah, Perfume Genius, fantastic. Please make sure you give this album a listen, and also subscribe if you'd like to see more reviews, and have a good day.